Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Spinning Plates. First up, this one comes from the R-Waiters subreddit. One of the best tips I ever got by Sharkfighter 2000. That's very impressive. I had just started working fine dining after college and was a little nervous because it was my 5th shift on my own and I had been pushed through training really fast because they were short-staffed. Red flag. All of our sections were 3 tables, but I, being new, had 2 4-tops and a 2-top. Our restaurant was a really big circle, and you couldn't cut through the middle. That meant that to get one thing from the kitchen, it was all the way back around. So you were running all night. It could be exhausting. My second table of the evening service was a table of all men, 3 Asian and 1 white guy. They were in their seats for 5 hours, the entire time that we were open. Service was fine. They didn't run me or anything. I just did the usual, but I could tell they were discussing something really serious. I wonder if it was to kick the token white guy out of the group. I dropped the check, they paid, and I went on my way. They continued to stay and talk until they were the last people in the restaurant. Most of the staff had gone home. Finally, they left. And I went to pick up the check and there was a $1 tip. I was heartbroken. I went out and got hammered. My confidence was shattered, but I had brunch service the next morning. About halfway through brunch, the white guy walks in the door and makes a beeline for me. I was bricking it. My heart was pounding. I knew I was going to get fired. He waited at the bar. I was actually working cocktail that morning, and after a few minutes my manager came over and said, "Some guy at the bar wants to talk to you." I wandered over meekly. When I got there, he introduced himself and said he just needed a few minutes of my time. I said, "Okay," very apprehensively. He told me that the night before, the dinner had been a business dinner. The men with him were representatives of a Japanese company that was looking to open a new branch in our city. That at the end of the night, they insisted on paying. He explained that tipping isn't part of the restaurant culture in Japan. Well, this is America where they were, and it's tipping culture in America. No excuses. That servers are salaried, again, not in Japan. That to leave anything is a sign of appreciation and respect. To leave $1 is the most they would tip, and is the highest form of respect. He told me that they really appreciated my deference to them, as they were involved in extremely serious negotiations. He said that after they left, they signed a contract worth a conservative $60 million investment to open their new branch in our city. He gave me $500, which was about 200%. I was blown away. Of course I was. I was amazed. He had told my manager the same story. The best part is this happened in 1997, and that same company is still in our city, and has expanded state and nationwide. It was nice of him to come back and do that for you, but the fact of the matter is, they were choosing to do business in a country where it is required. They say it's optional, we all know it's not, to tip serving staff. It's essentially the service charge. They can call it what they want, but that's what it is, and so really I don't think there's any excuse for that behavior. Okay, story number 2, discussions with the kitchen and having to prove to your coworker when they mess up. Bent but not broken. Oh, indeed. Hi, I gotta let off some steam. This weekend a big event took place, and it is when our busiest weekend of the year takes place. Usually, aside from a few hiccups, it goes well. However, I got a new coworker. He's cool, got some experience, until it hits the fan. I've been working at this place for longer than any of the staff present yesterday, including the manager. So while I am not mistake-proof, and do not claim to be, I know my stuff, the menu, and our processes. My coworker Rush likes to teach me how to do my job. Sometimes it's a good pointer. Sometimes he is plain wrong. It's annoying in either case. We got 2 new kitchen helpers for this busy weekend. Both speak neither German nor English. I have empathy for that. They constantly gave out the wrong order numbers, which tanked tips and our efficiency. Happens. And then Rush tells me it's our responsibility to remember each single order and to be able to sort out the order numbers by myself. For reference, we don't have sections, so if a dish was ordered 4 times, it is kinda on the kitchen to contribute to make sure that each plate ends up at the right table. And he chides me for not remembering. I get pissed. What took the cake, though? Ooh, cake. I didn't know there was going to be cake. Is me having to prove our new kitchen team whenever they make a mistake, especially when they're slammed. Back then, I would go to the kitchen and go, "Hey, X dish is missing, can you whip that up for me, please? I do not care if you or anyone else made a mistake. I just want my customers to get my food," which is exactly the right attitude. Didn't do the thing? Do the thing. Then shut up about it. Good way to do it. But now, find the order is missing. Even if the kitchen lost it, chef is convinced he made it. Bill it, again, even if it's right there. I got yelled at by Rush, the entire kitchen staff, when I simply asked for a noodle dish to be made because it has been forgotten. Until my manager saw me on the verge of losing my cool and softly went, "Did you order this wrong?" And I exploded. No, I did not. I don't want discussions. I'm not stupid, and I know what I'm doing, so please, make the damn dish. And that's about when the kitchen found the missing order, having fallen off the printer. Until Rush saw this order, he did not believe that the kitchen could have lost it. Everyone went silent, and my coworker was trying to cozy up to me the rest of the shift while I was fuming and embarrassed. In the end, I received the dish with a wrong extra. He once more, as constantly, told me, "Go slow, calm down, everything was all right." No. Half the tables were missing meals. Tips sucked. The kitchen fucked up non-stop. And so I told him that no, today we did poorly. And that I'm tired of constant discussions. You need to remind that little weasel where his place is. He came in after you. He does not outrank you. You have more experience. You, unofficially maybe, have more seniority. Don't listen to his nonsense. Put him in his place every single time. And be cold toward him. Be very, very cold. Story number 3. I quit after 1 shift for the first time ever. By Fatbeck. I just quit a restaurant after my first shift for the first time ever. This was a new coffee shop, or diner that opened 2 weeks ago. I don't have experience making coffee drinks, but I have bartending and serving experience, and they really needed people and offered me a more stable schedule. So I said, sure. I noticed some red flags like low Google reviews, but I figured I'd give it a shot and keep job hunting. I agreed with the owner that she'd be there to train me for my first 3 shifts because I don't have experience making the kind of fancy latte she had on the menu. I come in for my first day. She isn't there. It's only her mother working the kitchen and 1 customer. The customer tells the mother that the coffee she'd made her was cold and asks her to reheat it. The mother only says no. And when the customer asks why, she then says it's for food safety reasons. Then make another coffee, you... I overheard this and offered to make her a new one. But her mother simply said that wouldn't be necessary and told me to just go behind the register. People immediately start to come in and I ask her what sides there are. Toast only said salad under sides and they're not listed on the menu. How efficient. And she says they're in the cooler to my right. I see 10-ish small containers of coleslaw. Damn, I forgot to buy coleslaw earlier. Bean salad and a side salad, so I start asking people which of those sides they'd prefer and ringing in orders, while I write down the orders because there's several drink buttons missing as well. I'm trying to flip through the drink recipe book and make these drinks as fast as I can, not knowing where anything is, or how to make them beforehand while the mother's constantly yelling at me to move faster. Keep in mind, I'm the only one taking orders, putting them together, running food and bussing tables. Then I let her know that there's only a few of each side left, so I'll need more prepared, and she says what's out is all there is. At this point it's only noon, and there's still a line of people waiting to be rung in. It seems like a red flag to me that the owner's mother's working the place. Then the owner finally walks in carrying an 18-month-old toddler. She puts the kid down, says that she usually brings him because she can't always find childcare, and then lets him run rampant behind the counter, where the hot coffee gets made. Yeah, that's going to end well. Her mother had slid a folding table up against the kitchen door, trying to block him out unsuccessfully, and blocking us out as well. This kid then starts taking silverware out of its rolls. Ugh, unhygienic. Opens cabinets and starts throwing things in there on the floor. Is slapping my butt as he runs. Oh, hell no. I later heard the owner remind him to not bite. Putting things in his mouth and takes stuff out of my folder with my social and payroll documents I'd brought and leaves them all over the floor. During this, I'm trying to ask the owner questions and have her train me, but she's not able to get more than a sentence or two in before she's trying to clean after the kid. This place is gonna fail. And people are coming up saying their silverware was missing, different utensils because of this kid, plus they had a little kid all over it. But she thankfully is able to tell me that there's a pulled pork soup, a tomato soup, and a vegan chili, when I say that we're running out of sides. So I write those down. Keep writing down orders as I ring them in, and start making the ordered drinks. While I'm making the drinks, I ask her how to ring in the soups, or if there's something I have to do with them, and she says I was supposed to write down the soup in the instructions, and I have to let her mother know right away. I'm trying to get 3 drinks out, so I ask her to go tell her mother, but I guess she was busy with her toddler, because the next thing I know, her mother is yelling through the window that I need to get back there right now. Never an excuse to yell at an employee. Never. I go to the kitchen and she starts yelling at me, saying that I can't just not ring food in. I need to be faster and do what I'm told. She the boss? Don't think she is. And that I have to make the soups now because I messed them up. I bite my tongue, go, okay, and start asking where the bowls and soups are. She's very short and angry every time I'm asking where things are or how long to microwave them for. One was just sitting out on the counter uncovered. One was in an old mayo jar unlabeled. Oh, the health inspector wouldn't like that. And another one was in another unmarked container in the fridge. I poured them into the bowls, set them to heat for 5 minutes, let her know, and left. Back at the counter, the owner is trying to make drinks while her son still runs around, so I start taking orders. Then, when the soups are ready, her mom puts them in the window and says, "They would have been ready faster if you hadn't messed this up." I finally went, "Respectfully, I didn't even know these soups existed until 30 minutes ago." She snaps back, wagging her finger at me, good way to lose it, and yells, "Knock it off! You'd already been here for an hour and a half before then!" Multiple orders go out, with the owner just straight up asking the customers what size and orders they had, rather than looking at my notepad. I'd shown her, or waiting for me to check it, and her mom yelling that I'd sold more soup than they had. I'd sold no more than 2 of each. There's multiple orders missing sides, and a few drinks the owner made get sent back, which she loudly complains about behind the counter within earshot. She also doesn't let me make a fresh pot of coffee, saying she doesn't want it to go to waste, even if there's just a half pot left, and she's charging $6 a cup of Folgers. And then says she can't afford to give people 2 lids, so the pre-made cold sides need to remain lidded when served. Finally, 2 p.m. rolls around and I'm so beyond ready to leave. I've been told I could take my cash tips home, but my credit card tips would be added onto my paycheck. So I start emptying the jar when the owner's mother says, "You're splitting that. You and," owner's name, "both work the floor, so you're splitting your tips." Again, is she the boss? I knew that was super illegal. But I also knew these were unreasonable people who would definitely fight me on that. You'll have to fight them on the credit card tips too, no doubt. So I took pictures of my toast shift summary with my oat tips, made sure they weren't looking at how much cash had been in the jar, and just left a couple of dollars out with a few coins for my sanity. Most cash had been left on tables anyway, so the owner hadn't known about it because she hadn't been bussing. I sent a whole message once I quit telling her how unsafe it was for everyone involved for her kid to be running around there, how her mother was driving away customers and employees, how I was not trained and didn't appreciate being treated that way, and how it was illegal for an owner to claim tips, and I'd be expecting my tips with my paycheck. I ended it by telling her that if she keeps going the way she is, she'll be closed in a month tops. Generous. And if she wants a shot at staying open, she's going to have to put the work in and fire her mother. Fire her mother. With actual fire. I'm honestly kind of shocked that it was as bad as it was, or that they've gotten this far. They were previously open for a few months in a neighboring town and moved here, and I was able to, unsurprisingly, find a report of them cross-contaminating food there. I think that they've been watching too much Gilmore Girls and thought this would be a cute, fun job. I've never worked in a kitchen. Got funding somehow. But oh my god, what a shit show. Story number 4 is So a Guy's Trying to Say I Didn't Disclose the Price to Him, by Champagne Glamour Fame. So I just got a call from my beverage manager saying that a guest that I served yesterday put in a complaint at the front desk saying he was overcharged. Mind you, I work at a luxury legacy hotel in a very expensive city, so this man's order was pretty par for the course. To paint you a picture, it's mid-shift, it's pretty slow, and I'm chatting with one of my repeat guests at the bar. This man walks in, I'd say in his late 50s, and sits down next to my regular and orders a scotch. "No problem," I said. "Is there a particular house you're looking for?" He said, "A Glenmorangie?" He asks, and I say, "Yes, I do. How would you like it, sir?" "On the rocks." So I go to my back bar, pull the bottle, and I ask him, "Would you like a large rock with that?" "No, small is fine," he said. So I show him the bottle and tell him, 18 year okay? He says yes, so I pour him out. He then goes on to start chatting up my repeat guest, an attractive woman, probably in her late 30s, aiming high are we, sir, and he's going on about life, and how tough it is, and how he never thought he'd get married because he's such a workaholic, and yet, here he is now, married to the love of his life. But she ended up developing multiple sclerosis, Jesus Christ, etc., etc. By that point, I bow out because I was done doing what I was doing in my well. I figure if he's not trying to pick up my guest, he's at least having a private conversation, and they seem to be hitting it off, so I go attend other guests. So my regular leaves, maybe like 20 to 30 minutes later, and at this point, he's asking for restaurant recommendations. So I start giving them to him. We have a decent rapport. Whatever, it all should be fine and dandy. I notice he's almost done with his drink, so I offer him another one. He says, "Let me think about it." I say, "No problem. Let me know if you change your mind." He decides he doesn't, asks for the check, tips me $5, and goes off on his merry way. No questioning, no nothing, just leaves. I later catch him at the hotel restaurant, so my breath was wasted on recommendations, but whatever. So here I am. On my day off now, my beverage manager sends me a text. Are they paying you to deal with this text? Because that sounds like the work they're giving you on your day off. With a screenshot of this man's order. $58 for a Glenmorangie. I mean, maybe that's right. And I asks if I remember this man. I say yes. And the guy apparently goes to the front desk saying that he was overcharged and I didn't disclose the price. I have a feeling if you had told him the price, he'd be complaining about that too, if this is kind of an upscale, expensive hotel. I'm assuming one of those places where if you need to ask the price, you can't afford it. Shocking to me, because just a couple of days ago I had 2 guests come in and ask for 2 full pours of MacLeod 25 at $550 a pop, and followed up with MacLeod Time and Space at $360 a 2-ounce pour. At that price, I better travel through time and space. And tipped me $400 on top of that. Nice. Which is to say, we don't immediately tell someone the price for something unless they ask, because it's that kind of place, of course. But we do go out of our way to disclose the year, the house, present the bottle, all kinds of things that would insinuate that this is a more premium item. If you're not so inclined to actually take a moment to pursue our printed spirits list, where all the prices are disclosed, or ask me how much the pour is, mind you, $53 for Scotch is pretty common where I work, and people order MacLeod 15 at $58 all the time, as well as other spirits in the same price range. The part that gets me is he didn't bring it up when he was presented the check. You'd think he would have noticed. And that he tipped me on top of that. It tipped you about, 10%, a little less? We don't usually go around questioning or disclosing the price to our guests so as not to potentially offend the 95% of our guests for whom money is no object, and potentially miss out on sales like the $2,600 tab that I mentioned above on the MacLeod 25 and Time and Space. Am I in the wrong here? Did I do something wrong? I mean, it sounds like you did your job as you were trained to, really, you know. Or did this guy, in his attempt to what seemed like impress this woman, was too big for his britches, and instead of telling me in the moment, so it could be somehow managed by my beverage manager, goes running off to the front desk and putting the blame on me? I'm literally seething here, and the guy better not show his face at my bar again, because I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Well, I mean, if you've described it to your bosses as you've described it here, I doubt there'll be any problems on your end, because, as you say, at a place like that, for those kind of prices, people are going to get offended if you tell them the price. If you just volunteer the price, it's different. If they ask, of course, they're going to think you're insinuating that they're one of the poors. Let's move on to story number 5. Speakerphone Prayer Sesh by Lady of Lordsburg. I just started working at a diner after the last 5 years of late-night bartending. I absolutely love it. It's a change I wasn't expecting but needed, and the work and pay is great. But I'm so confused by these types of customers and how I should respond to them sometimes. Kick in the balls? Punch to the face? But let's read on. At the bar, if someone is being shitty, we call them out point blank, yes. And more often than not, they accept it, cool down, and life goes on. Because sometimes people, get a little full of themselves. If they don't like it, they get kicked out. Everyone is safe and supportive. Life goes on. But at the diner, we can't blame alcohol or be that direct. Just different vibes, which I'm totally understanding of. However, what the absolute shit are some of these full adults thinking? I've never seen such entitled people. The one that got me recently. It was a very slow night. Late lunch was just coming in, but still unusually light. We had about 4 tables on one side of the restaurant, nothing on the other. The tables were kind of spread out, with a central booth empty in the middle. This lady comes in, phone tucked into the bra strap, just like under the chin area, kind of closer to the top, with the speaker fully on because she's on the phone with someone and just talking super loud. Obnoxious. I approach, ask how many, the usual, welcome, let me seat you. But I have a personal pet peeve with people rudely talking to people over the phone on speaker loudly in public. So I'm not hella thrilled. But what the hell? Whatever. That's the business. My welcome gets cut off by her holding her finger up. Appalled, I interrupted her phone call and just said, "Sorry, someone talking to me, 1 second. Yes." I then give her the speech again and ask her what table or booth she'd prefer, and suggest maybe the more quiet side, since there's people on the other side, and maybe they don't want to be subjected to her thing. Of course, I didn't add the sassy part. I just suggested a more private table. She still offended me for doing my job like the little trash raccoon I am, grabs the menus out of my hands and says, "No, I'll sit over here," and seats herself at the booth right in the middle of the only tables in the entire restaurant. Again, super slow night. Not a lot of bodies in that building. So it was such a deliberate, selfish, disgusting move to actively sit around people while talking loudly on the phone. Within 4 minutes, the other tables finished, asked for their checks, and left. They were just as taken aback by this 50-something woman. To top it off, she didn't want to really read the menus. She just asks if we have certain items until she finds one she likes. Won't let me leave the table, despite not really enjoying me thus far. Feeling was mutual. And also continued the speakerphone conversation. Oh, and that entire conversation was absolutely wild. She was just airing out dirty family drama about how her son refuses to speak to her. Smart boy. And her sister's son is in jail and she'll pray for them. But she's the only one sensible enough to still attend church. No wonder. Not a soul wanted to have lunch with this lady. She continues to be awful. At this point, I'm so frustrated, so I'm more mad than probably warranted, and is just shouting what she needs at me from across the room. "Excuse me, I need a side of salsa." No one wants to sit on the side. She doesn't tip. And the night was just a full dud. But this has been an outlier at worst. At best, it really makes me grateful to see the regulars and kind people I've met so far. I just really wish I could have this job with the bar mentality of telling people off when they're being gross in public. Like a little reminder, "Hey babe, you're not the only one out here. I'm also a human being and deserve respect, as well as these other meat sacks you see around you, dear." If only you could, but we all know you'd get fired if you told her, "Yo, bitch, put your phone away. No one wants to hear that." And maybe pour a glass of water on her head. Ooh, or grab the phone, put that in the water. We'll see how waterproof it is. Don't take my advice. It's terrible advice I'm giving you. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Big thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their stories. If you'd like to support the channel, you can sign up for my Patreon page. There's a link to that in the description. $1 or more a month will get you access to the videos on Monday. There's also a link to my merchandise store on Teespring, as well as links to my Discord server and Threads. I don't use Facebook anymore. I still have the account, but I don't use it anymore. And, oh yes, my email, if you need to contact me for any reason, if you need a shout out for whatever reason, if you have business inquiries, or you'd like to send in a story, kingofthecities@gmail.com. Also written out down in the description. That's everything for now. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and take very good care of yourselves. Bye bye.